Hello, I'm very happy to uh, introduce my research paper. The title is The Impact of the Virtual User's Autonomous Social Behavior on Atypical Architectural Design in the Design Studio. My name is Yoon-gil Lee. I'm in the Department of Architecture in Hoseo University, Korea. Uh, the purpose of this project, I wanna figure out the impact of the agent is a human-shaped agent behavior. The effect of the human-shaped behavior, especially the social behavior in the design studio for the typical design, architectural design. The background, the first is background. Typical, typical means not modern shape, not box shapes, not Euclidean shapes. So, atypical shaped buildings are becoming increasingly popular in modern society, and that's why the ability to design a typical building is very important for architect. The design process of the a typical building is some different from the traditional architectures. Uh, is required the unusual form with funky shapes of creating design. Thus, when designing a typical buildings, architect sometimes can overlook users' convenience of safety. The the human factor, so like users' convenience and then safety is the most important, the most significant standard of evaluating the value of buildings. But the, in the process of the design of typical buildings, the architects sometimes too focus on the shapes, only shapes. So sometimes they ignore some human factors. That is kind of problem. The background problem was this research. And so also existing software for architecture or typical architecture design, so like a digital project on Grasshopper, Dynamo, something like this, cannot support human behavior in the typical environment. So like this, the upper image is that those images, because the software for the supporting the typical design, but the reality, the in the surrounding of us. So this is kind of the typical uh, shapes from buildings. There are a lot of the people, and they behave some kind of some behavior, but this software cannot support the kind of simulate the kind of some the phenomenon. So previous research, some uh, we already faced the problem of the process of the typical building design, but human behavior simulations in the previous the research, the human behavior simulation is very effective for the typical design because in the middle of the design process, the architect some visually some figure out the, the, the performance of human factor of their the designed buildings. This is overall idea of this project. So the left is as a typical architectural design design software to write these simulations in the real-time manner. If the architect evaluate the human factor, human behavior in the middle of some design stage, they can make more the better designed for the human behavior, human factor, human convenience and safety. This is the idea of this whole project. Okay, this project is a 5-year project. So the uh, actually this year is the 4th year, but the result of this paper is 30 years result. You can this overall project is a three part. Part one, we're gonna make some platform. Part two is so we're gonna make the intelligent agent. Then 50 years kind of applications. So first year, the first year is works. So I want to introduce some history about this project because for you understand the easily of this works. So this is first year works. We surveyed some the existing the atypical shaped buildings DDP like that, and then we're gonna make some kind of a simulation platforms called Octobeige. Is Octo is actor or actrix. Octo and the beige is visualization. So the Octobeige means we're gonna these systems the provide the visualization of the human behavior for the architecture the architects. This is software the developed based on the commercial software for the typical design. So they called the Lino. It's a very popular design for a typical uh, shaped buildings. And then we're going to use Grasshopper. It's parametric design tools. It's plugged into Lino. And then we're gonna make some kind of this kind of some blocks, function blocks, the beach, and then first we make some shapes, and then call in the grasshopper, and then activate the up to beach, and then so design some alternative is so automatically generated the virtual environment, and then you can put some agent, human shaped agent. They behave purely, and then architect can figure out some phenomenon with some agents, and then between the architecture, a typical building shape and some agents. This is positive box, and then second, third, fourth years, so we're gonna make agent intelligence. So so the second is year we're gonna make some interaction with some physical context. Uh, in other words, so a typical architecture shape is not normal. So that's why the interaction with the behavior interacting to the a typical building is gonna be different. So we're gonna more uh, to the in order to accomplish the more realistic uh, simulation environment. Uh, the, we we need with that agents to be able more some detail react to the typical building shapes. So we based on field research we some characterize some kind of some behaviors, and then we did so we in the second year we're gonna develop the autonomous agent behavior interacting artificial geometry. And the third year we're gonna we made some intelligence for social interaction because there are a lot of people in the same place in the atypical the geometry. The peoples interact with the architectural geometry, physical geometry, also as well as to the social, the other people. That's very important key to the realized simulation, realistic simulation. So first we field survey and we categorize some the social behavior, and then we're gonna some psychologically interpret their these behaviors. So categorize force uh, for categories: self-perception and behavioral conformity, and group bias, and then behavior setting. Can I see because of my photo? So and then we put this kind of social intelligence of social behavior to the actor beach. Okay. Okay. So the result of the beach is third year. Uh, the agent is behavior, social behavior. This means react to some other uh, not only the physical environment but also some other agents like that is kind of the result of development of some uh, the third year. Uh, in here, uh, the agent the when the agent some walking up the slope, they help others, and then uh, this guy some talking about it, and then some guys close to the near these people, and these guys uh, move they shrink their legs, pull up, and then this guy so these are the taking pictures that this girl is go around some behind the groups. That's kind of some social behavior. Okay, how about this paper? This paper, so we're gonna some figure out the effect of some social interaction. So because it's unclear how social interaction is in design atypical shifts impact creative problem findings. So uh, this study we some demonstrate uh, how it impact the human social behavior to design process for the creative problem findings. Method. So 2001, the spring semester, 23 students enrolled in the seminar in the complete edit architecture uh, called Digital Lab 1. They are the third year student at the university in South Korea and architectural design programs. Uh, so on this course to teach students to create new architecture type using digital modeling tool. As a teacher, I asked the student to build a playground using different styles of space, sculpture that encourages children to take part in various games. A student uses Line 3D and then freely design the playground. And then so teacher asks some first week teacher asks they make some playground freely and then feedbacks, and so they provide the ActiveBeach and then simulated some human behavior, and then there are some on-off some functions. So on means social behavior on or not. So mean on is the agent is interact with the physical geometry shapes, and is off is on, and uh, the the agent is behave to to interact with the other agents is kind of some social behavior. The students figure out some uh, the, the the performance of human factor with using Dr. Beach, and then next week they design again, design remotely again and simulate again. They uh, they they perform this process is one or two times, and then I'm gonna some kind of paper, and then they just questionnaire and then mark it, and I analyze that. So this is method. So there are some the questions eight questions like that. So questionnaire uses 7-point Likert scales. Uh, the criteria is focused on the creative problem findings. Uh, this background of some theory is with reference to other the papers. The, the eight question like that. So next, this is result. Is left is designed some student works, and the right part is a simulation. The BB simulations. Okay, that is the result. You cannot see some my face, but the I analyze use a paired simple t-test on the creative profiling before after using autonomous adaptive. This is wrong. Is social behavior functions. Um, Social behaviors. There's four uh, four item is very significant. The, in response to statement 4, the students indicate they are better able to design new shapes after using social behavior functions. So before than before. So this means this is such a social interaction function help the new form design. New form. The response state 5. The social behavior function helped students find more various functions for their design, and that this means the more diverse function form could be conceived in the design when using social interaction functions. Okay, 7. Question helped you plan appropriate optical shapes. The t-test indicates that after using social behavior function helped design plan as more appropriate optical space than before. This means it was possible to judge whether or not the optical shapes that the design was appropriate through the social behavior function and to make more proper optical alternatives. So Although the result of stage 6 and 7 are not statistically significant, they show the social behavior function improve. So the safety and convenience of design alternatives and help to understand the design problem to some extent. However, table 1 shows so uh, those statistically significant results were observed in the response statement 1 and 2 and 3. The analysis data found that the social behavior function did not help the student go to the overall design process or the process appropriate design result. Okay, conclusion. This study examined how the automatic social interaction of agent in the typical architectural design process affect creative form findings. For this purpose, experiment and questionnaire are conducted for students in the studio, the department of architecture, and then analysis is performed. The experimental and questionnaire result found the social behavior simulation was statistically effective in designing new form and then designing various functions and then design appropriate typical forms. This means the social interaction showed shows by human shaped agent. The architect can obtain design idea from real form and various function. In addition, it was discovered that through questionnaire analysis that previous cannot be found in the effective of physical interaction between the typical space agent. So this means it's kind of some very some some the beneficial for the design process. But uh, but there are some negative option, some opinions. Looking at the descriptive answers, many felt that a more sophisticated development and technical supplement were needed. In other words, the answer that it was difficult to distinguish between social interaction or agent and those that was not. And that was rather less realistic because agent act in unusual ways. And then it was said that it was insufficient to observe people's normal natural behavior and the agent's behavior errors. Hydrants. Uh, okay, uh, so we can figure out some kind of some the effect of a human social behavior simulation, but the development is not perfect. So we need to do more. Uh, we need to focus on the natural behavior of the social agent in the further research. Thanks for your attention.